speaking of revenge trades, God did this piece on revenge trading. Basically, when you get emotional and you take a loss and you're like, I'm just going to put more capital in to try to make my money back. What's going to happen? This is what this piece is basically looking at. So, yeah, God did this piece. If you want to follow him over on X, he's got lytics. But super cool piece. It's about, staying consistent and trying to keep the emotions out of it. And especially not, trying to claw back your losses right after you take a big loss. That's kind of like the moral of the story here, which maybe you guys can relate to a little bit, but we wanted to actually test it to see what, what the numbers say.
Cool.
Yeah. I hope Liz is watching this.
Yeah. She was saying that she has some emotions when trading, but still
some emotions.
It's
That's the hardest thing to control. Like the markets, you can't really, you can't control the markets. You can control your portfolio, but the emotions are the hardest thing to kind of keep in check.
For sure.
So here we're looking at 16 delta SPY strangles, 45 DTE held to expiration again, because we want to look at these tail losses. What I think is important here is that volatility clustering is going to play a really big factor in compounding losses. And volatility clustering is something that you can see on different timescales. You can see that on 45 DTE timescales, 30 DTE timescales, 15 DTE timescales, sometimes intraday as well. So the principle here is really volatility clustering, and that's going to hold true, but we're just using 45 DTE kind of as a benchmark because that's where, the option, like some of the other risk factors of options are a little bit more negated, but just to make sure to understand why held to expiration. And then we're looking at 5 years of daily entries, 2021 to 2026. And then what we're going to do is we're only going to change the trade side after a loss. So if you incur a loss, we're basically going to scale up the amount of portfolio capital that gets allocated to these strategies. We're going to compare that to a fixed size. So say we're either going to put 5 or 10% of our portfolio net liquidity into this position versus doubling it up when we incur a loss. And 5 to 10% we're using because typically you don't want too much of your portfolio in one single position, but if you might have a smaller account, then that's why we're kind of using that 5 to 10% range. 5 could even be very big, if you have a very large account, but that's effectively what we're comparing to versus doubling up the amount of capital allocated right after you take a loss. We're also testing triple and keeping the double. So what we're basically trying to test is if you scale the capital up significantly right after a loss happened, does that make the losses worse, or does that make you gain kind of more overall? Does it drain the account or does it not? And I think important thing to note here is that when the VIX goes up, often buying powers tend to go down because that expected range increases so much. So not only do you double up the amount of net liquidity into a single position, not only are you doubling up the number of positions, you're actually going up more than that because we're using netliq as this benchmark. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So any intuition here? What do you guys think?
I was going to ask Mike. I think.
It's not going to be good.
Right.
Not going to be good.
No chance.
Speaking
Probably not good.
From my own experience.
Definitely personal experience, whether it's trading or whether it's betting.
Yeah.
It's not. And we have good old Kelly criterion here, speaking of betting. But yeah, it's not good. And other important thing to note is we do have mechanics around scaling capital up when vol goes up, just because premiums are going up and there's opportunity in that, but it's diversified across positions, not dumping everything into a single position. So important caveat here. I think you guys know where I'm going with this. We could go to the next slide.
It needs to be seen though.
Needs to be seen. Sometimes you gotta feel it too, which is not fun. But when we're looking at these 45 DTE positions and then managed to halfway to expiration, we can see that when we double up, our pops are still remaining roughly the same, right? We kind of don't expect pops to change very much when your position, or you wouldn't change at all really when your position sizes changes. So kind of aligning with what you see from a strangle, but those big losses get a whole bunch bigger. And that's kind of like what I talked about earlier, is that you have this volatility clustering in the VIX. It's when you have one instance of market volatility that's usually, followed by more market volatility. So there's a lot of, when you have this expansion in your broad market indices, there's a lot of opportunity that comes with that, but controlling position size is extremely important. It's more volatile, premiums get bigger, losses potentially get bigger as well. So when you're dumping more capital into the same position to try to claw back losses, right after your first one happens. You're exposing a lot more capital to that market volatility instead of being more mindful of position size, which is what you should be doing when, especially after you have a big move that can incur a loss.
Yeah. And what you're also doing, and I think this is a great graphic, is you have, if you're doubling down and like increasing your position size and then you're taking additional losses, you're synthetically bringing yourself to that end of the curve with a very small move in the market. Where like for you to have a one lot, if you're doing one lots, to have a $2,500, $2,700 loss, you need a massive move in the market because that's your size is correct in that sense. But if you're doubling, tripling, quadrupling your size, now the market only has to go down another 20 points and you're realizing that same effect as if you had a black swan event in the markets. So you're putting yourself in a scenario where you're gonna have a higher probability of realizing the loss equivalent to a black swan event, if that makes sense. And
that does, yeah.
That's why sizing is so important, because like our MES position and MNQ positions we talk about, like we can absorb 30%, 40%, 50% downside in the markets. But if you're sized too big and you can only absorb 5%, well, you're halfway there today. So like that's the key. You have to be able to absorb all variance if you can do it. Like that's the correct size. If you can absorb all variance, especially to the downside, with undefined risk trades, then you're going to be in a much better spot.
And yeah, that's what we're really looking at here. We're trying to look at, like, we're looking at undefined risk because we really want to understand that tail in these kind of extreme events. They don't happen a lot, but when they do happen, they can get very bad. And exposing more and more capital to that, not strategically. You want to potentially scale your capital up when you do have this market volatility, but you want to be mindful about diversifying the capital, about being especially mindful about single position sizes in a specific underlying, especially as the market goes down and more assets kind of become correlated to the market during those like high volatility events. So scaling the capital up and capitalizing on those higher premiums can be, good thing, potentially, depending on risk tolerances. But being super mindful about how that capital is allocated and not putting too much into a position, especially when you're trying to really claw back losses, that can get really dangerous. So if we go to the next slide, here we're comparing a fixed 10% versus fixed 5% versus doubling down. And again, we're using 5 to 10% here because we wanted to account for different account sizes. So 5% might even be kind of big if you have a very big account. 10% might be, it's a little higher than I would say like the mechanics or the rules of thumb. But if you have a very small account, that's kind of why we're trying to account for those different levels. And obviously the 10% is the most aggressive growth overall, although the most volatile. And then when you're doubling down, that's when you actually entirely wipe out the account, just because even though your pops remain the same, those losses compounding specifically, while they don't happen very often, are enough to really drag down performance overall, such that you actually break even after the look back period.
Love it. Yeah.
Yeah. This is another interesting one. So we're basically looking at what's the probability of doubling a loss. And what was really interesting here is that probability goes up to 90% when you're putting more capital into a trade, right? Because like with more capital at risk, and these not correlated events, autocorrelated events, is volatility clustering that tends to happen. You actually see that you have a 90% chance of doubling your initial loss when you're doubling down on a trade, versus 28% overall. So that I thought was a very interesting one. Again, like these are not very common events, but when they do happen and that tail is something that people are experiencing more, that can be detrimental to kind of long-term growth. So that was a very interesting result.
Losses bunched together, just like volatility.
Just like volatility, bunching it together. And then again, the deeper the revenge, the worse that it gets. And I think that this is just, kind of moral of the story is that like trying to claw back losses and getting emotional and scaling capital up to try to recover is not necessarily strategic. There are strategic ways to do that, but putting more and more capital into the same position to try to, get a different result can be very dangerous. So I think that's like the most important thing is about staying consistent, about staying strategic, about allocating capital, and especially about scaling it up, being very thoughtful about doing that.
Yeah, I think it's, again, it goes back to the doubling at the wrong time, but also just doubling increases your probability of reaching what would have been your black swan event if you just had one contract size or one tranche of whatever you're trying to trade.
Yeah. I think that's another important lesson about short premium positions is that your pops are high, right? You can get like 60, 70, 80% pops, right? Like, so it's really just consistency is kind of like one of the most important things in my own opinion. It's really controlling those tail losses and trying to stay in the game as long as possible to capitalize on those small, profits over time. Pops are in your favor, right? And it's really about controlling position size and being consistent is like, it's hard to do, especially right after you take a loss.
Yeah, it is.
For sure.
Cool. Okay, we can go on over to the takeaways. So, revenge sizing turns some losses into even bigger losers. Doubling, really like what we saw, at least in this specific example, with the specific underlying over the specific time frame, just completely wiped out a portfolio. And the deeper the revenge is, and the more capital you try to dump back in to get some of that money back, the worse those cumulative losses tend to become. Specifically, when we're looking at those kind of extreme market events, they don't happen very often, but when they do happen, they can escalate pretty quickly. So the moral of the story here is to really just be mindful about scaling up capital and recovering losses in a strategic way. If the statistics are favorable, if volatility is favorable for a specific strategy, then allocating that money appropriately versus getting emotional and trying to claw back with the same position basically the losses that you incurred.
Size for your edge, not your emotions. That's key.
Size for your probabilities.
Lovely.
Love it.
I like it. I like it. Beautiful. Well, thank you, Julia. Appreciate your time. But yeah, always keep that size in check. And really, it can be boring sometimes when feel like your size is too small, but that's actually where you want to be.
Yep.
Because that's when it doesn't matter what the market's doing right now. Like my most confident position is the MES position, MNQ position, because it's just I can withstand anything and I know what to do at certain times. And that's where you feel good about the portfolio that you're managing.
Great.
For sure.
Yeah. That can also be tricky. If volatility is low and your premiums are low and you're like, hey, I want to scale up a little bit. I don't know, collect a little bit more. It's when volatility is low, overall probability of a vol pop is low, just overall. But the ones that statistically have the worst outcomes for short premium traders are when vol is low. So that's precisely the time you also want to be mindful about not over allocating overall capital into short premium. And then when vol goes up, those rare events, capitalizing on those events appropriately, and just size is just so critical no matter where the VIX is at.
Yeah, 100%. Well, thank you,
Cool.
Julia.
That's all I got.
We'll see you.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you later.